Thank you once again for listening to RGCWV, Random Geek Culture in West Virginia. I'm your host, Lou Kersey, and with me tonight is my co-host, Alex McLean and Dean, a.k.a. Squirrely Dean, and we are talking about Letterkenny. Quite possibly the best show on Hulu and on Crave and on whatever that Australian network is. I don't know what it's called.
Down Under TV?
I mean, your guess is as good as mine.
I had it once, and now I've lost it. That's been a couple seasons ago that they opened up in Australia.
Right. And I tell you what, when the show first came out on Hulu, when they first announced it, all the seasons and continuing, I saw the show and I was intrigued, but I was like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it just, to me, that was a bad advertisement of what the show is. But in the same respect, I'm like, what could they have possibly done other than just try the show out? My first exposure of when I wanted to start watching the show was Squirrely Dan's relationship cold open, the one where they're tossing the ball around. And the relationship took a hard left turn that I have yet to recover from. Oh man, that was a fantastic cold open.
Yeah, that whole just hucking the ball around. So you were hucking your ball around with your friends the other day.
Yeah.
She considered that I might need some attentions paid to my butthole.
To my butthole.
We finally get to meet her in season 8.
Yeah, which that was kind of cool. And you know, it's like when you see the chick, you're like, I get it now.
Yeah.
And that kind of makes me think, did they have that scene crafted far before they had anybody in mind? And after they crafted that scene, they're like, well, if we ever want to do this, we're gonna have to find somebody that fits that description.
Yeah. She actually, I don't know if you watch The Expanse.
I do.
She was
first
the new
season.
Yeah, the new president on the latest season 4. So.
Oh man, Expanse is so great.
It's
such a fantastic show. Getting back to the show. So I'm for the people that may not be familiar with the show, and we are definitely all saying that you should go watch this show. So setting the stage for the show, it is, you know how Roseanne is almost a love letter to the lower class. I feel like this show is the love letter to the rural community. I grew up in southern Maine, which, as far as like longitude, latitude, whatever, it's almost even where Letterkenny should be, because I mean it's based on a fictional town.
No, it's actually based on Jared Keeso's birthplace.
Right.
Of Stillwell, Ontario. It's because at first they made it was a Twitter account, and it was Stilly Problems or something like that, and it just went from there. And then they renamed it to Letterkenny. They started shooting the web shorts. If you've gone and seen any of those,
I have seen some of those.
Yeah,
the hockey ones are really good.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just, I mean, that's where it really, this TV show just kind of shot off from the web shorts, and the thing with it's the Hicks versus the hockey players. That's kind of where it's all really, that was the nugget of the beginning, and they can carry that on into the first episode with the hockey players, and then Wayne and Derry sitting down there next to the produce stand. And just I see the muscle shirts came today. Muscles coming tomorrow. Just that whole thing. So yeah, that first scene that they brought in is what hooked me, and I've been a fan ever since.
Now, Alex, do you want to tell Dean the series of episodes that got you in on the show?
The first episode that I watched that I really enjoyed was a more recent one, Dick Slip Out.
The dick slip out,
The
yeah.
Dick Slip Out. I thought it was pretty entertaining that they really took one joke. The whole episode has one joke that they repeat over and over again,
Yep.
and it doesn't get old the entire
No.
time. Their last name is Dick. They're the Dick family. His wife's name is Anita Dick, and they've lost their
Chastity and
their their
charity.
their children, Chastity and Charity, and they come before you, dickless, searching for their lost dicks.
Yes.
And then, of course, we got season 8 where they
Yeah.
had the what was the name of that episode?
That
Um,
that was oh gosh.
oh, the Holy Sheet.
Yeah, Holy Sheep, right? So yeah, where we find out, where Derry starts the thought that, well, Noah first comes up and I need your help at the Dick Farm once, because he's got some problems. He needs some help doing man stuff that only men can do, and so
A proper
Wayne,
hand job.
right? So yeah, Wayne agrees to it. Derry is a little aloof about it, but after Noah leaves, he explains that because they want some help with other other sources to help uh, conjugate with their daughters so that they can expand out the bloodline. And as Dan says, from generations and generations of inbreeding, and so they come out to find that they're going to be hammering box, building up the box. What are they? Feed boxes. And yeah, that one whole. I mean, you want to talk about what the same joke? This is an
I never
entire.
seen a tighter box in all my day.
Yeah,
That's a mighty fine, tight box you just screwed there. I'm going to enjoy
yeah,
filling that box.
but yeah. Then they talk about the cousin who got knocked over, took a cock to the behind and made a big inner gash, and oh my god, yeah. I mean, this is
Everything they
that
say is a double entendre.
exactly. Yeah, it's so much double entendre that yeah, it's just yeah, just if you're not hammering box, you're getting your gash hammered, and you're
I forgot about that joke.
you're leaving a couple of loads on your mom, and it's just yeah.
Oh, oh.
That is a great. And Jonathan Torrens as Noah Dick is just perfect, and Sarah Wayne Callies. If you watched, if you if you watched The Walking Dead, you'll know as the wife of oh god, now it's been so long. The main character of Walking Dead. Um, uh,
Norman Reedus, because he's the main
no.
character in my book.
Well, I actually read the comics before the show came out, and I was
Right.
very upset how much they changed. I'm like, who the hell is this? Why is not? Yes, I like Norman Reedus, but why is he here? He's not even a character. So yeah,
Well,
that
whenever
was
you change mediums, you're going
yeah,
to have differences, and it,
yeah.
just like with Star
Rick
Wars.
and Lori, got it. Rick and
Yeah.
Lori. She was Lori. So
So, just what I was going to say was just
yeah,
like with Star Wars, where it first exists on the film media,
mm,
just like with Letterkenny, it really just exists on film, on
yeah,
TV, and I mean, I feel like there's no other medium that can be transferred to. I mean, you can transfer Star Wars to comics,
sure,
but there's nothing that can compare to it being on live action or in the cartoons. The cartoons are really good too. Um,
yeah,
but in I mentioned that because Letterkenny, they have the Little Kenny
yeah.
series, and it's really funny too.
It
And
is.
and it does change the medium a little bit, but it not so much that it gets past what makes it funny, and
Oh yeah,
that's the written dialogue. In fact,
right.
actually, there's been a couple times where I've gone and taken a walk, and I'll just take my phone and I'll put it in my pocket and listen to an episode because it's
Yeah.
such a dialogue-driven show.
Oh yeah. It's kind of vaudeville in a way. It's I mean that's why they can take it to Letterkenny Live. Is it's really just it's a sketch show that where I mean because when you see people come out, they're coming out from behind the produce stand. It's a play, and it's also very. And if you listen to any of our early episodes where we're talking about it, it's very much like Shakespeare. I mean, you have your
Oh,
main
okay, yeah.
characters who are creating all the drama, and then you have the skids who are very much your Shakespearean fools. If you listen to the way they talk, the language that they use and how they act, and they're just, I mean, that's kind of how all that is.
I've
It's
never
very,
thought of that
yeah,
because the skids. One of the questions that I was thinking about tonight was, if there was any characters or character groups that you could really kind of cut out, if you could cut out anybody, I would always think of the skids as the characters you could cut out.
mm,
But in the same respect, though,
yeah,
it's just like the minions in Despicable Me.
hmm,
You take them out, and then it's missing something. You
right,
and just like with the Minions movie, you give the skids an entire spin-off series, wouldn't work at
right.
all.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of that is the purpose of the skids is to show that in this little community, everybody belongs to the community. And even though they may not get along within the community, if someone comes along and is fucking with them, they're fucking with the community at large. So, that you don't come, this is our family. We can talk to them like that. You can't. So, I mean, and that's kind of what the first season was, when Tanis came around and wanted to take on the skids because of their skid like dealing. at
Yeah,
the at the end of it, Wayne came and took care of it. This is our community. This is where we live. You don't get to make this decision for us.
Now that
now
I think of it, much of the show is also filmed as if it's on stage. It's
Yeah,
filmed as if they're
exactly.
performing to a live audience, that just a single camera shot, single camera angle, the person comes on from stage right, they says their thing, they leave like a play, you know.
Yeah, very much so. And I think that's kind of what makes it great to watch is you're not having to. There's not a lot of stuff. It's dialogue, usually very dialogue heavy. If it's not, I mean, they use music a ton to help tell the story. And all the music, if you didn't know this, all the music is chosen by Jared Kiso himself for each episode.
I
So
didn't know that.
yeah, so he has picked everything. I want this and this up. This up, and and one of the writers, Trevor Risk, uh, he and Kiso are buddies, and they met because Trevor Risk used to be a DJ at this bar that Kiso would go to, and so Kiso helps him find music, or will say, check out this band, and then Kiso will listen and yeah, they're awesome. I'm putting them on there. I'm going to see if I can find a place for him. So yeah, Kiso is such. I mean, a guy who originally wanted to be a hockey player, and so yeah, when you see him out as Shorzy, or when he's shooting, just hitting pucks with Sturt,
Sturt.
they are yeah. he is actually a very good hockey player. Just he wasn't quite good enough to get up to the professionals, so he settled on acting. So he's,
Am I the only one that misses in season 1 and 2 Stuart?
that's because of Devin. Yeah,
Yeah, whatever happened to him?
apparently there was something that happened in the background, and he chose to leave. There's
Hmm.
one of the I think in the season one, and I think it's just a season one or DVD set. There's the commentary where they're talking about it, and there's something said in the commentary where that he chose to leave, and they wish him the best. That's kind of all that was said. and
Right.
so I think something happened, and that's all I really know. If I know anything about it, is just that which was said on the commentary.
So, I was actually wrote down a few things for this evening. So, quick going around. What's everybody's favorite secondary character? Not the original four, and not Jonesy or Riley. Um, I would accept the Skids or anybody like that. Who's everybody's favorite character?
Tannis.
Tanis.
Tannis has got the big Tannis energy, and yeah, I love her. I adore her. I mean, aside from that, Marianne Betty, and you get those as a package deal. So I love them too. I've interviewed both of them, and they're both awesome people.
What about you, Alex?
I'm maybe gonna make you guys mad. I don't love any of the secondary characters. Like the main cast, whenever they're sitting around talking about stuff, those are the parts of the show that I like. I don't love the rest of it. I don't know. My favorite character is Squirrely Dan.
Oh yeah, yeah. Out of all, yeah, Squirrely
All of
Dan.
his weird speech mannerisms,
Yep, and his
just
Which he's
wokeness.
the only one that's a professional comedian.
True.
right.
Well, except
He
for
has.
Jonathan Torrens when he
Oh,
comes in, and
Right.
so yeah. But yeah, you're right.
I mean, for me, it's Glenn. I love, I
I
love,
love Glenn.
I love
Yeah.
Glenn. And actually, that was probably the only thing that I would change about this last season. We didn't have enough Glenn. In fact, I don't know if we had any Glenn.
The last season, I have to think. Yes, he was in
Oh
Yard
yeah,
Sale
that's right.
Saturday. So yeah, he was in there.
Yeah, but,
And
I mean,
addition, oh no, there is one more. There is one more, one more stand-up comic. Uh, Coach.
oh well, that's embarrassing.
Fucking embarrassing. Yeah, he's yeah. Mark Forward is brilliant.
Bard.
Yeah. I cut back on my carbohydrates. This, this still
Man,
has no
that was
lumbar support.
that was another episode where they just him. I mean,
Yeah.
just his part. They had one joke and they just kept running with it.
Oh
And
yeah.
so I was on Instagram here not too long ago about it was a Letterkenny post,
Mm.
and when I made that post, it was like 10 times more successful than any other post I had ever done. Which everybody loves Letterkenny.
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, myself included. But anyway, this one guy, he was saying, I really have to know what happens to Dirks. And I
Cheers.
was like, if you're worried about the plot of Letterkenny, you're doing it wrong. It's, in my opinion, I think Letterkenny is like Seinfeld. If there is any semblance of plot, it's only to set up a joke.
Yeah. They because really they don't the heavy stuff. So like whether it was Marie Fred or whoever at the end of the season when they do something like that, it's when they come back they don't really deal with the heavy stuff that happened after that. It's like they've dealt
Right.
with it, they've dealt with it, and now you're going to see kind of the aftermath of the dealing with it. So like coming
We
back from Marie
never
Fred,
we never really saw Wayne propose. We never
right?
really saw, and that's the things that's in this show. Like, another thing that I was saying was, truthfully, I don't think we're actually going to get get to see the town beating, just destroying Derek's. What we'll probably end up getting is in season 9, episode 3, not the first episode, like episode 3, just an offhand comment of, "Oh yeah, that time when we all beat up on Derek's, everybody took a turn. It was great for town unity." That
I
was
mean,
it. Then
I see. I am curious. I think I think there's story arc for every character
Yeah.
in the show. It may not be a general plot for everything, but it's like every there's a, there's a dichotomy of where Wayne is just broken up with Marie Fred, and Katie is now with Dirks, and it's kind of like one is starting, one is ended, and it's. I think they like to show in each episode a duality of things. So I think they do think of a lot of those things. They tend to keep the comedy side and not really. They don't want to deal with the heavy stuff. That's not what they're about. They do show that it has been dealt with, and that people have feelings. Like so, Wayne is sitting and watching Misfire uh, for a few days.
It's almost like a reverse Pixar, where they take the outside story and they keep condensing it. Where with Pixar they go with the dramatic, where they do the exact opposite. They have that overarching story, and they're like, okay, if there's any drama stuff, let's just cut all that
Yeah,
out, and we'll just keep all of the funny stuff in.
right. Yeah, I think I think they leave just a little dash of it, like just sprinkle a little bit of the drama, but where they keep. I mean, it's a lot of that is like the Shakespeare, like I said, like the Shakespearean comedies. There's drama that's happening, but they're just kind of when you're
A
dealing with
passing thing.
you're dealing with tragedy. You're finding the comedy in the tragedy. So it's a lot of that. I feel. I think a lot of those guys who have been. I mean, they've been acting. I mean, Kiso's been acting for a while. He was in an episode of Psych. Uh, probably about
Really?
yeah.
What?
He,
Which, by the way, have you seen the new movie?
not yet. No.
Oh, it's really good. I mean,
Oh,
well, okay.
I love those guys.
The first movie was by far like an actual movie, where
Mm,
this new one is more like, an extended episode or
right.
a series of episodes. But it's very good. I suggest checking it out. It is free on Peacock.
Yeah, I was planning on checking that out. Because I've watched every single episode of that show.
Oh,
A number of times.
my daughter is 12, and that
Yeah.
is her favorite show.
That's
And
awesome. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of my people that I've met doing the Letterkenny thing who are also fans of Psych, and I mean, and as talking to podcasters, just say, we should do a podcast about Psych, where I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be like how I do Letterkenny, where it's episode by episode, but more just kind of talking about how that's inspired us and things like that. I mean, I mean, James Rode Rodriguez is embracing his Mexican heritage and has now attached his true last name to his I guess to his SAG card. So that's really cool. I mean, since all of this stuff with Black Lives Matter that's been going on,
yeah,
I think a lot of people are doing that. So I applaud him for that. But yeah, that whole the brotherhood between Sean and Gus. I mean, it's been all those years that they did it. Now are still doing it, and they're still kind of best friends. So I like that, and that's the same thing I like about Letterkenny is it's a brotherhood. It's a family. They in both shows they make fun of things, but they don't punch down. They're not bullying, and that's one of the things that I love about uh, listening to Kiso talk is that we don't like bullying. We'll make fun of friends. You guys may talk shit about each other in front of each other's face just to be you're being funny. Just like hey Dick, whatever it is. So those kind of things. But they don't ever punch down at anybody. It's kept above that. If anybody is trying to take power, the degens, and just as an example, that they come across and say, no, we don't accept this. We're not taking this kind of activity, this kind of action against anybody, because that's what the degens do. They bully people. They do stupid shit. They fuck around and hurt things, and they don't allow it. You know, especially coming in from you are not from here. This is not your town. If we have our way of doing things, and you ain't it.
So, um, actually, let's do this.
Okay.
All right. What's your favorite Shores quote?
Oh boy, probably. Uh, let's see, what was it? You're so pathetic that I had to run a 15K to raise awareness for you.
Mine's actually similar. I love that one. Mine is you're so pathetic I get a tax
Yeah,
break for hanging out with you.
right. Yeah, those are tied right together. Yeah, I love that one too. There's so many. God, it's well, and you can't leave out the big one for him, which is give your balls a tit, give your balls a tug, you tit fucker. So
Yeah.
I
Oh
mean
man,
that one,
when we first met him, in what was it? I don't think it was season 1. I think it was season 2,
right? Yeah,
where he's like naked, upside down in the shower, and
that's how you get the best ass wash. And then
oh man, he's just
you get to see how a real man rocks a piss.
yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, sure, you never want to hang out with Shorzy, but just listening to Shorzy, it's brilliant. I mean, even when it got to the point with when he was reffing and it was the Shamrockettes and he was
Oh
talking
yeah.
about is it talking to Marianne about how her breath was so horrible it gave him an existential crisis.
Oh,
And then your mom shot cum across into my fish tank and killed my Siamese fish because it knocked off the pH balance. So I mean, he's got so many great ones.
yeah, he does. Um, so, um, oh, Alex, do you have one?
I'm afraid not.
Okay. Um, how about from season one? From season one, what would you like from season 1 to come back in season 9 to make a reappearance?
For me, I mean, it's hard. That's hard to say. I mean, because season one is still kind of them bringing the web series from coming from the web series to TV and kind of
Yeah,
fleshing those out. And the things I loved about I love and a lot of people won't agree with me. Fart Book, I love Fart Book, and I mean because
I
there's
just rewatched that episode today.
yeah, I mean it's talking about social media and how everything that you see on social media is basically just a fart. I mean, that's really what it's saying. But there's so
Hold
many
on, I
quotes
can
on
redo that one.
it. Right. So yeah, it's like that where they talk about the great quote about nothing better than a fart except kids falling off bikes. Fuck, I can watch kids fall off bikes all day. I don't give a shit about your kids. So just those those quotes that came from that were awesome. But I don't know if you could bring Fart Book back in in the way that it
Some
was.
capacity.
Yeah.
For me, it would be the dude that fucked an ostrich. I would
Yes.
love if they somehow
Ginger
worked
and
that
Boo.
back in.
Well, now we did it.
Allegedly.
We had an interview with Trevor Rusk, one of the writers of the show, and we got to talking about that on our interview. And what the wrench that we wanted to throw in that, and that he talked about throwing into that, was that he was it was him that's actually the ostrich. He's just a guy named, and that's his nickname is the ostrich. And he comes onto the show, and it's and so they were always right. He fucked an ostrich, but he's the ostrich, and I think we're talking about him coming out in drag. Basically, he wanted to be a drag performer.
That's funny.
Oh, that interview with him was brilliant. He's brilliant, brilliant guy. You should. I mean, if you haven't checked it out, you should listen to it. I mean, I had one of the guy, one of the people that we had as a co-host on one of our shows. He said he was listening to it, and he said as he was driving to work, he had to pull over to the side of the road when they got to that part because he was just laughing too much. I mean, yeah, that was a fun episode. So yeah, Trevor Risk is brilliant. Great guy.
Okay. Yeah, we already talked about that. We already did that. Oh. Favorite Dan quote.
Oh, that's easy. If I hear one more heckle, I will staple your tongue to your tape so you can watch me kick your ass. That is my favorite. That's from the Letterkenny Spelling Bee, the adult spelling bee.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot about that episode. That was a good one.
If I hear one more fucking heckle.
So mine is sushis and sashimi is not plural. And the way
I'd
he
be
just,
having a panic attack.
I know he, and that's the thing. It just worked so well that they had him deliver that.
Yeah.
And deliver that scene because
Yep.
he pluralizes everything in the
Right.
whole show.
That's a great one. Yeah. That he's got so many good ones. Yeah. What do you got, Alex?
I don't remember the context of it. It was just something dumb that he said, and they told him, Dan, that was like a triple negative right there. That's impressive.
I like
I
one of
don't
my
remember
favorite.
the whole context though.
I like one of the Wayne quotes. To Squirrely Dan. He said, "You know what, Dan? You can sum it. Mount what's your point anytime now." You know, Dan likes to go on and on.
So not my favorite quote, but really a quote from the show that just really kind of speaks to Wayne's character. And I just wanted to throw this one out here. It's just simply, and it just hits his character home.
Mm-hmm.
S&P is the choice for me.
You're
Like,
fucking up, bud.
yeah,
Yeah, that's aside from the very first episode that really got a lot of people interested in Letterkenny. The steak scene was probably the second largest, and that's because that really came over right as it hit the states on Hulu. I think that was the first season, the first season that hit Hulu. When it actually came to Hulu, that was it.
is that season 3? I think that was
I
season
believe
3.
that's season 3. Yeah.
Yeah, because the next season was
that was the native flu episode.
Yeah, because the next season was the winter season. Which, by the way, I want another winter season.
Oh,
I
you'll
want
get
another
that.
winter season.
I don't know if it'll be the next one, but upcoming season 9. I know it's been shot. Don't know when don't know when it's happening. I think they were kind of hoping that it would, once all this pandemic settles, that they would get to do it right before, they would get to drop it before they were able to go and do Letterkenny Live, because Letterkenny Live was happening when the pandemic hit, and then I had tickets. I had VIP tickets to go to that thing because I wanted to meet them. Yeah, I paid $500 for those tickets, and yeah, it was like a month before, and then they closed it down. I was like, God damn it! So, and if they're able to, get it going again, that's that may be when they're doing it, and unless they realize that maybe this is not going to happen for a while, yeah. But yeah, the last I heard, and I don't know if it was from, I think it may have been from Trevor, that he said, yeah, it's been shot and it should come out soon. But that was back in, I think, May when we talked to him.
So I have to comment on your shirt.
Oh,
I have to comment.
The IT crowd.
Quite possibly one of the best British comedies that's come out in a long time.
Agreed.
I love that show. Alex, have you seen all of that show?
I don't think I saw the last season of it, but I've saw about half of it.
My favorite episode of that whole show is Proper Men. The
I don't
Proper Men.
remember.
Proper
I
men.
don't remember the names of the episode. I think mine is the new emergency phone number. Oh, 881, whatever that long number was.
999-415-3.
Proper men's the one where like they're like feel like they're not being seen as men at the local pub,
Oh.
and they need to
Have you
like
seen that
practice.
did you see that ludicrous display last night?
Bunch of wankers,
Oh,
you know.
the guy's got the ball and he's kicking it over there. Now it's oh no, the other
Oh,
person
that's
has it.
exciting. Now let's see what happens.
That was an unexpected turn of events. Yeah, Moss is great. I mean, yeah, I love his version of this, which is, have you tried forcing an unexpected reboot?
Uh and really the pinnacle of that show was actually, I think, one of the it was like mid-series was when there was the bomb bot, and they see the bomb bot, and they're running the bomb bot with the laptop, and he goes, "It's frozen," and he goes, "Have you tried turning it off and off again?" And then he goes, "What operating system is it?" And he's like, "Uh, Vista." And then Moss goes, "We're
Windows
going to
XP.
die, Roy."
Yeah, that was a brilliant show. I love Maurice and Roy in that. I mean, just
Now,
how
did you see the English adaptation? The pilot for the English
you mean
adaptation?
the American one?
Yes.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
because they still used oh god,
Yeah, they
Richard
still use
Iowati.
they
Richard
they still
Iowati.
use Moss, but
Yeah,
they change Roy, and I was
to
like,
Joel McHale.
that is a total mistake, because I mean, the guy that plays Roy, Joy McHale, he was great in Community, but
Yeah,
he is not a Roy at
no,
all.
no. He's too. He's number one. He's too good looking. he's he play. I don't think he can play dumb enough, like socially dumb. That's Roy is just completely socially dumb. He doesn't know how to do anything. He can
Right.
IT, and but he doesn't like people. So I just don't pick that up from him. And the CEO was played by the guy who was the captain of NCIS, the original NCIS.
Yeah, no, I mean their only the only way that they could actually do an American adaptation is if they actually do it as a continuation of the original show, which
Mhm.
was if the company bought an American company and that
Yeah,
they were sent there to set things up. So you had an
yeah,
American,
I
you
could
had an
totally see
Amer.
that.
Yeah, I would watch that.
Sure.
Why can't we do that?
Yeah.
But anyway, back to Letterkenny. That was a tangent.
Yeah.
So, but I think this is going to finish out the YouTube portion of this. I think we've captured that. If you want to continue, we can keep going on with the audio portion. And
I can do anything.
Okay, all right.
I'm on
Um,
vacation.
and Alex, you said you had to get going at about 6:30, right?
Yeah, that would be best.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and turn off the stream. This has been Luke Hersey with Random Geek Culture in West Virginia. I was your host, Luke Hersey, which I just said that name, and then my co-host is Alex McLean and uh, Dean. Dean, I forgot
Dean,
your last name.
Dean Giles.
Dean
And
Giles.
if you want to find my podcast, howareyounowpod.com.
Yes, and I included that in the show notes, so
Beautiful.
that link is there to your actual howareyounowpod.com, and from your website you can get to all your social media stuff as well, your
Yep.
Facebooks and in your all your stuff. So
Can confirm.
can
Exercise
confirm.
10 for.
10-4, good buddy.
All right, all right,
Dean, thanks for being on the show.
I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
all right. Have a good night, guys.
Good night.
And now we are off stream. Yep. Okay. Now we're off stream. All right. So,
All right.
um, so that was actually pretty good. That wasn't a bad stream. We hit all the bases with the YouTubes. So, um, so what do you want to have happen in the next season?
Well, I'm kind of wondering what's happened to Dirks. I mean, there's got to be 15 people flying in at him, and Katie's just standing there. I'm kind of wondering, I'm kind of thinking in a few ways that, you know, where is Katie just going to make them all stop? You know, because literally, if you let all 15 of those people beat the shit out of Dirks, Dirks is going to be dead. And this is not the show for that.
It Dirks.
Yeah, I just don't see a dead Dirks happening. I mean, maybe I could see that, Wayne gets in there and gets a few shots in, and as Derry or Dan is about to walk up and do the same thing, Katie yells out, "Stop!" Or here's a wrench that could be, Wayne is the toughest guy in Letterkenny. We're in Michigan now, so maybe Dirks, it can throw
The
one,
toughest guy in Michigan.
right, and if
Big
Wayne
Dick
got
Dirks.
legitimate, if Wayne got legitimately knocked out by somebody else, everyone would be floored. I mean,
Oh,
I
that
just
would be an interesting story arc for the next because that's how the show started. So
yeah.
that because I mean
So
we're going into season 9. I mean, how many more seasons do they really got in them?
well, I think they're currently contracted to do 10, go up to 10.
Which I mean, that's what every show really kind of aspires to.
Yeah, but I think Kiso and Tierney have already said, we'll keep going until they tell us to stop. So um, I think they really love doing it, and so until they find something else to do or kicked off, I think they're going to keep going. At least I hope they do.
I wouldn't. I totally expect them to, even after the show is done, that they continue in some capacity, like Twitter or something like that. Go
Well,
back to formula.
yeah, I mean, it's the other thing that I would like to see is continuation of Little Kenny.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, you could have build more of that backstory from, and just make them grow up. I mean, it could be more like a South Park type of thing, but I mean, from what I've been told, that's still all that is still canon. So um, I just yeah, I do feel that at some point they're going to have to end Letterkenny. I mean, every show. I mean, look at Supernatural. I mean, it's finally coming to an end, and I love that show. But yeah, it's. I mean, I think their decision to in Supernatural to end it the way they are, that's good. And I hope that that Jared is allowed to go out with Letterkenny in the way that he wants to. So if that means, that he's already decided, we're doing 10, we're going to end it in 10. And because we've completed this arc. Wayne has now gotten married to somebody, and Katie is moving out, somewhere else.
Moving back to the city.
Yeah. And yeah, who knows how that's going to be, but I just hope that they're able to get them to finish what they're hoping to finish.
I what would also be a good like bookend to the series is Glenn starts being a pastor again.
Yeah,
That would be a good.
he gets the church back.
He gets the church back.
Yeah, and
Man, I tell you,
maybe he gets married.
my wife, I actually tried to watch that show with her one time, and we got to the church set of scenes, and Cassie's like, I'm done. I can't watch this anymore.
Why is that?
Well, we are religious, and
Oh, okay.
it's just that I get the joke of where they're trying to point out how like this is how a lot of churches are, and these are you know le- these aren't totally led correctly,
Yeah.
and that is exactly what they were trying to do in that scene, is make a mockery of those kind of churches. And so I thought it was funny.
Well,
But
I think Glenn. I mean, because I think there's a lot of fun being poked at American churches. I think because that's Glenn's got that accent, the accent that he has, the southern preacher type of
yeah,
evangelical. But I mean, Glenn. I mean, even like when you talk about the Letterkenny Leave episode, where they Gail's in there with them, and they're all doing the hot tub, and
man,
and
such a
and
great
when
episode.
yeah, and because when they get to the end, where Glenn realizes that the McMurrays are hoping to have a swingers thing, and he goes, "Oh my God, you guys are polyamorous." He goes, "No, that's a sin. I have to go." And that's kind of his. I think that he does
I gotta
want
pull a
that.
Letterkenny Leave.
Yeah, I mean, because I think that Glenn wants to have the one, and you can always see that that's what he's always hoped for with Wayne. He wants Wayne, and but I think he would want. I think he's looking for one person for him, and but he's very. Like when Dirks came out, well, look at you, little Matthew McConaughey. So I think he's just got his own way of expression. And yeah, and it's a comedy show, the part where he's got his pants off,
Right.
and he goes, "It's warm in here," It's just like I think that's just how he is. He's very himself, and he's very comfortable in front of everybody. And until like when he thinks it's a big swingers thing, he goes, "No, I'm not. That's not me." And he has his boundaries.
Right.
Now Gail, not so much.
Not so much.
And I love Gail. Gail is basically the same as McMurray. Where she's just I'm going to let it go, and McMurray's I'm going to let it go. McMurray, I think people are just a little more uncomfortable with him because he just doesn't know when to stop. And
Well, see, that's the thing though. Like, some of the guys at work,
mm,
like, they cannot stand Gail because that she's a little too over the top.
and
Where like
as
McMurray, they
McMurray is.
love his character, and I'm like,
That you can't have two opinions about the same type of character. I mean, yeah,
exactly. You
and
just
so
changed the gender, and it's weird now.
yeah, I mean, the only difference, I mean, aside race and gender, that's it. So that
Right. Which, good for them for breaking down those walls, right?
oh totally I have talked to enough of the actors and the writers on the show to know that this we are. I mean, granted, you got to think they're in Canada, so they've been far more approving of things like that. Now Canada hasn't been so great with their Indigenous folks, and not that they're not
The
racist,
natives.
but yeah, they're very just like the episode with the Uncle Eddie's money, the where
Oh
the
yeah.
Dan and Derry are doing the Duck Dynasty thing, and so and we'll whatever they're going to do with the homosexuals, and then we'll pray, and then Wayne's like, "What do you two have against homosexuality? Nothing. That's fine. LQBTs is fine with me." So it's more that that they're pointing those things out to say, this is our view on these types of things. So yeah, so they're very aware of of what they're writing. So yeah, it's and how that's going to go over. And because somebody used Squirrely Dan in a tweet about and I can't even remember
Oh
what.
man, I remember
Yeah,
that.
and then Kate
Oh
Trevor.
man, and he
Yeah,
comes out saying, "By the way,"
yeah. He goes, I am I am exactly opposite this as Squirrely Dan would be, and this is not how Squirrely Dan is. So yeah, I can't remember what they were talking about, but
out of context memes is the scourge and the lifeblood of the internet.
yeah.
I've saw a
So
lot
yeah,
of really nasty captioned images over
yeah,
Squirrely Dan, as if because of the way he looks, he has a horrible opinion about something.
Which is the
yeah,
problem? Which is the problem?
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, because they I mean that's one of the things. If you go find those interviews they've had with Jared Kiso, he's talked about that a number of times. We don't punch down. We are not bullies. We do not believe in bullying. I did not. He said when I came out with this, I didn't want to have a show that bullied anybody.
It just
So yeah,
seems like there's some people who see him. There's a big bearded guy in overalls. I bet he's as racist as I am.
yeah,
And that's what they look with. They see the
yeah,
picture of the character. They don't even
And
know the
that and that
show.
and that was that was really the scourge of Duck Dynasty. First like 3-4 seasons, great show, and then things happen.
the old Paul guy, whoever I don't know any of their names, but yeah, he's coming out and yeah, I just uh, and that's definitely not what Letterkenny's about. Yeah, and because that's kind of why they Dan is he's becoming woke. He's finding these things out. Going to Professor Trish's women's studies group. And he's the big burly guy who can't pronounce things right, and but he's becoming woke. And now there are people who get their wokeness and they take that too far, where they say, you take in your wokeness and you build on that yourself. You don't have to say, well, Professor Trisha, and that's kind of what Katie
Professor Trisha.
where where Katie comes out and starts saying, why don't you suck my dick, Dan? And just because yes, she's woke as well, but she doesn't have to keep touting it all the time. Yes, I know that I believe in feminism, but I don't need to push it in your face 100% of the time. If you come out with some really anti-feminist shit, I'm going to punch it in your face, But that's kind of where Katie is at, and that's where Dan, I think, is slowly getting to.
That's what I
uh,
like about Dan is that he has a wisdom and a practicality to him.
yeah. So yeah, he's willing to learn. That's really all. If you're willing to learn and you make the effort, that's really all you need. And that's what Dan is trying to do. But he gets a little,
Yeah.
you know,
The thing is, I
The
with,
don't think he
foolish
ever.
man, the foolish man thinks he knows everything. The wise man knows he doesn't.
Yeah.
exactly.
The thing is,
So
I think Dan didn't start off in a bad place, though.
no,
I don't think season one Dan was like kind of not the greatest guy. No, no, no. He started out an average person, and
yeah, but yeah, that's
yeah,
one of the things that everybody wonders is based off of Little Kitty was Miss Trisha. Is she Professor Trisha? But that's kind of one of those things I think.
Oh, I didn't pick up on that.
Yeah, so that's kind of one of the things that uh, lots of people wonder about, and I don't think we have a full decision on that. And because I've asked people about that, people who would know. I think it's purposely been left gray like that. So um, but it's a fun thing to think about. And how would that have been? Because it's she does he go to the class? I think he goes to the local college or whatever for that class. Um, but yeah, I would love that's one thing I'd like to see at some point on in the show is Professor Trisha make an appearance.
Yeah, that would actually be really good if we got to finally meet Professor Trisha.
Yeah,
Um, there's a couple things that I would love to see in the show.
yeah.
Um, but
I mean, yeah, because it's like none of them have explanations about where their parents are. Are they dead? Or did they move off to Florida?
Right.
I mean, you very rarely see an old person. You know, anybody that's. I mean, I think the oldest person you probably see is Tanis's dad. That's about it. Um,
Oh
so
yeah, and that was an early episode, and we're like, oh
mhm,
well, that's done. We're not doing that again.
right, yeah, that a fuss in the back bush, where they found where Derry found the weed that was growing out on Wayne's property. Um, so yeah, that's where they saw him because yeah, that was the lead up to meeting Tanis because the same time where the skids screwed her over by buying the cigarettes and then selling them then cheaper than she was wanting them to. They fucked us over. So that's
I really feel like the first 2 seasons, let's say 2 seasons, I feel like they thought that they were going to have a plot. And so they were trying to make a plot for every episode. And as they went down through, they realized, oh, we can have an entire episode and only have a gray area of plot
yeah.
and not even worry about it so much because all it does is distract away from the actual jokes, which is the focal point of the show. And I
Mm.
feel like the last episode that they really worried about the plot, and it was probably one of the weakest ones, was the neo-Nazi episode.
I love Hard Right J. Hard Right J is probably one of my favorite episodes, and because I think
Really?
well, number one, I love Jay Baruchel, and
Well, okay.
I think him a Jewish fella playing a Nazi is great, and then just how he acted, and I think it was brilliant in the end that he's really not facing off against the Hicks. He's facing it off against the natives. Tanis leading, and and that's one of the reasons I love Tanis so much. She goes, "We're not here to counter protest. Ain't nothing, ain't nothing peaceful going to happen here today." And Hard Right Jay going, "Well, we don't practice violence," and she goes, "We do." And that's a brilliant episode. And I think Jay Baruchel had something to do with the writing of it. But yeah, yeah, it's a little. I mean, every comedy is a little over the top with what they're bringing to the table, and I think this is what it was supposed to be. And that, people, because he was coming in as a keyboard warrior, and and then when he comes to town to try to kick things off with Stewart, and everything just it's like everything crumbles. I mean, it's kind of talking about it now. It was they were changing the name of I think it was the soccer team, uh, and
Oh
compared to
yeah.
now, comparing it to now with what's going on with the I like to refer to them as the boner cats. If you ever look at the Funny or Die clip about changing the name of the Redskins,
Oh yeah.
it's hilarious.
Which they have officially said that they're going to change the name, and
Yes.
they've already decided on a name, but there's legal things that they have to work through.
Well,
And I'm like,
there's a fella who has copyrighted. He went and found a lot of these names that have been talked about for a while, and he's copyrighted all the names. And something that Dan Snyder wanted to use, he has already copyrighted. So that's been a problem. And now this thing with the Washington Post that's come out about Dan Snyder and other folks who've been involved with the Washington organization is also causing problems. So we'll see how that all turns out.
so you're from Seattle, right?
Well, I'm from Texas. I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan.
Oh,
So,
okay.
so I mean, it was funnily, when I heard that they were going to change, they were finally going to change the name of the mascot. I'm like, this is the first time I can actually say I'm proud of something Dan Snyder is doing. I know he's just doing it because he wants a larger stadium. But finally, he could have, there's enough. There's actually a website of. I mean, because I always thought, no, well, the natives are fine with it. No, they're not. There is a website on here. Let's see, what's called changethemascot.org. that has a large number of folks that are I mean native groups. As I mean not I mean like so the what was the big one was the Congress of Native Tribes or whatever it was. And then, yeah, all these, 1, 2, 3, 4. It looks like it's about 15 different native groups, all calling
And
for a
you know
change.
what? Me and Alex were just talking about this here about a month ago,
Yeah,
something very similar, and it was that the voice actor that does Apu on Simpsons
yes,
says that he's not going to do that
right.
anymore because of racial concerns and stuff.
Yeah.
And um I said to Alex, or maybe you said to me, well, it was a conversation,
Mhm.
but we were saying I would be fine with that if I knew of one actual Indian person that was offended by that character.
Oh, there's, God, now what's his name? There is an Indian uh, stand up comic, I think it was Hari Kondabolu, who actually him? Somebody in that. He's a stand up guy, and he actually made a movie talking about that. So yeah, there's a whole movie about Apu, and
Hmm.
yeah, it's I can't remember what the name of it is. Once I find it, I'll email it to you. But
Also,
yeah, there.
it's never good to talk of a whole ethnic group as if they're a monolith, as if
Right.
they're
It
a
was.
single entity. That's inherently not great.
I mean, it's a number. Yeah, there's a couple of issues with that. I mean, in that, um, yeah, it's a very stereotypical Indian character that they made.
Right.
Number two, it's a white guy doing it. Uh, so that's there. When there are lots of actors out there of color who are great from and that's I think that's probably been the big thing is that you know they get looked over a lot.
I actually
Unless
think
unless
Big
you're
time.
Denzel
Big
Washington
time.
or
I
there's.
think that what they should do is they should actually own it, just like,
Mhm.
do you ever watch the 2012 Ninja Turtles cartoon, Ninja Turtles
No,
show? Okay,
no.
very good show.
All right.
Anyway, it was originally voiced by Jason Biggs. Okay, he's the guy that did American
Oh,
Pie.
yeah. Right.
Okay, but then they changed it. He left, and then it was voiced by Seth Green. Well,
Okay.
in the previous episode, Shredder messes up Leonardo, and in the next episode, it's Seth Green doing his voice, and Donatello, voiced by Robert Paulson. He goes, "Man, Shredder really did a hurting on you. I don't think your voice is ever going to go back to how it was."
Well, and they do that in Letterkenny. Is like if you look at there's a couple of episodes, but the first one I think was the Saint no, no, it was about the Valentine's Day episode, and where they're
Really good
outside.
episode.
It was, but it's obviously summer when they're shooting this episode. Valentine? No, not the Valentine's. It is the St. Patrick's Day, St. Perfect's Day episode. That's what it was. That one was done in the summer, and they're outside and they're saying, "Pretty balmy for St. Patrick's Day," and yeah, the weather's been really weird. So they do that. They make fun of themselves of when they're having to shoot things. So
Right.
yeah, I like it when they do that. They it is what it is, and we'll make fun of ourselves for having to shoot what would normally be a winter type episode.
Yeah, and and I feel like that's what they should do with some of these transitions, because
Yeah,
I'm not against these transitions at all.
yeah,
I'm just saying that they should own it and make it a bit, make it a thing, like a poo. Like
yeah.
when they change him to a different actor, don't pick somebody that's like gonna similarly do this, like,
Yeah, I think
quote racist voice
yeah, I
to.
think well, honestly, if they feel that honestly, I think they should probably just do away with Apu. I mean, he's
That
a
is the easiest solution.
just
Yes.
do it. He and the family move off. because they're now doing something else elsewhere.
Because
And
we
then,
know that there's a Quickie Mart in India
sure,
because Apu had to visit that Quickie Mart up on top of the mountain,
there you go.
which, hey, there's an out right there. He's the new Quickie Mart CEO.
On
Yeah,
one hand, I kind of appreciate how much Apu and his family are included throughout earlier seasons of the show. I mean, they go to his home country and do all kind of stuff. I would go as far to say that Apu is probably Homer's best friend. That, like, even though he hangs out with the bar guys all the time, who does he always go to for advice or for troubles? It's always Apu.
Yeah,
he
it's
says
never
it's stupid
it,
Flanders.
stupid, sexy Flanders.
Before
Man,
I go,
that
because
was
I
one of
do
my
need to
favorite
go,
episodes.
the best suggestion that I've heard for a new name for the Washington Redskins is the Washington Foreskins. It would, they could just edit a lot of their existing merchandise.
So they're going to be a Jewish team now? Are they going
There
to
you
have a
go.
guy
The
with a yarmulke
Foreskins. I
and a
mean,
and a dreidel?
oh, now who's racist?
Oh boy, yeah, that's a whole new thing.
All right,
You're
I
gonna
got to
get
get out
the
of here, guys. It's been a pleasure to have you on the show.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure being here.
See you later.
Have a
Take
good
care.
night, Alex.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, yeah, I think it just really goes back to uh, the the stereotypical issue of. Now, I don't know if you watch Steven Universe at all, which I
no.
think it's a brilliant kid show. And it's very inclusive, and like he's got his little girlfriend, and it's been a while since I've watched it, but she where her parents are from, um, are that both her parents are, I think, are both doctors. But I mean, no, it's I'll have to look it up. But yeah, um, Steven Universe is basically about a little boy who uh, is has become a superhero because his mother was a superhero. Basically, it was the Crystal Gems, and it was these aliens. It's really difficult to explain, but he's now being raised by these three other gems, and they're all female presenting, and they take care of him. They raise him. His father's still around. He runs the local car wash. His name is Greg Universe, but but he knows that he's best off with these other gems because he's now a gem. He needs to be raised by other gems, and it's really kind of this all inclusive family that are different from everywhere, and they also he's now got this little girlfriend who's from some other country, and I can't remember what it is, but I would say it's Indian, but I know it's not. But yeah, her parents are doctors, and they treat her just like they treat like any other parent. Which I don't want you going out because it's dangerous, or that kind of stuff that parents do. So yeah, doing something like that, where if you're going to have a nationality, that's whatever it is, a minority nationality in your show,
Hmm.
treat them with the respect that you would treat the majority. In this case, we the Simpsons are in America. White people make up 72% of the population. Treat them like you would treat the majority. That's really all you can say. Give them the same respect. Don't.
And to bring this back to Letterkenny,
Mhm.
like we said earlier, good on them from the very beginning of being extremely inclusive. I love the level of diversity that they've had in the show, and I love the way that they don't make a big deal about it. They just
Yeah,
like
it is what it is.
it is
I
what
mean,
it is.
and all your
You have a problem, that's your problem.
and every native character in that show is an actual native. So that's it's thought out. By well before it hits the screen. Everything is thought out and considered. So
And um
even though it's just a silly comedy, Jared takes this show very seriously.
And another example that as far as like, changing something. I mean, they talk about the whitewashing of Hollywood all the time,
Mm,
but one of the best examples that I can think of in recent years is the Ghost in the Shell movie. So, like, Scarlett Johansson was really a great choice as the Major in the Ghost in the Shell movie, the live action movie. She's as athletic enough, she's good enough to do that kind of thing. She's got the kind of like stoic attitude that they needed for the character. The only problem was that why would you change a clearly Asian character from
right.
an Asian series to that? And they had a perfectly good a perfectly good way to explain it within the narrative, and it fell flat on its face. And I was like, you guys ruined it. You took what was possibly a great idea and then just destroyed a good idea. They destroyed their possibility of an out, and they just it's like, why are you trying to do this? There's
Right.
lots of great Asian actresses that could have played this, but you
Hmm.
chose to have a
A
white
name
actress, white
because
actress play
white
this
and yeah,
because she's in the Avengers, so she's a hot name right now. Okay, whatever. But give me an actual explanation on why you pick this and not just because.
yeah,
Not just because. Because when the Major opens up the door and her birth mother is Asian, it's like, get the fuck out.
yeah.
What are you
They do
doing?
that. They do that so much in Hollywood where they feel that anybody who is not a name like Scarlett Johansson, that that they're just not going to get enough money for the movie.
And
I
that's
think
and that's the thing. That's a business decision. And the
and that's
business
a yeah, and but
it,
still, I mean, you
if you
still
have to
gotta
make if you have to make a business decision on these kind of things, then it's not a good concept in the first place.
yeah,
If
yeah. If
be,
you doing
Boondock Saints, Boondock
mm,
Saints, perfect
yeah,
example. Norman Reedus, practically an unknown name, but you throw in two other actors that are or three other actors that have some note. No, almost nobody knows who Norman Reedus is at the time. They throw him in there. They in
Sean
and
Patrick
it
Flannery,
Yeah, exactly. And Willem Dafoe.
yeah,
Willem Dafoe, fantastic
I
job
loved him in that.
on
Yeah,
that movie.
yeah,
Willem Dafoe is one of my favorite actors.
mm,
Um, but Norman Reedus, his his actual portrayal in that whole movie, I'm not going to say he took the whole movie, but he damn well near came close. It was definitely a great breakout movie for him.
mm,
Um, but my point is they it wasn't any acting choices that pushed that movie. It wasn't They didn't pick anybody specifically because they thought that that was going to be the perfect person, or they needed to push the agenda of the movie from a business standpoint. That's not why
yeah,
they picked Norman Reedus or anybody else. It was
right,
because they were perfect for those parts,
yeah.
and that's
They
my
yeah
complaint.
they really felt like brothers. So yeah,
Right,
they meshed. Yeah.
right.
So
And then
yeah,
Willem Dafoe was a great inspector in that
he
movie.
was great. He was
And
what
then
he was like. I mean, less evil, but like in the professional, Gary Oldman. That still that same flamboyance.
he is actually my favorite actor of all time, Gary
Him,
Oldman. But by far, the if I could ever meet any actor, any
yeah,
professional actor, it would be
he's,
Gary Oldman.
he's brilliant. My other one would be Sam Rockwell.
Okay, yeah,
I mean, brilliant. I mean, yeah. Now Gary Oldman though can play young or old and has played. He's so dynamic an actor. I just it astounds me. I don't know how old he is in real life. I'm like, you can see him playing Churchill. You see him, playing Sid Vicious.
Segue from Gary Oldman, though, gets back to a directorial choice as far as casting that, from a business standpoint, made absolutely no sense, and that is Heath Ledger as the Joker.
Yeah.
There was a bunch of people that were like, he's the absolute perfect, he's the complete wrong choice. And there was a bunch of people that were boycotting that movie because they were like, hey, there's no way he's the Joker. And then the movie came out and the movie spoke for itself. They didn't need to make a business standpoint because you know what? Christopher Nolan knows what he's doing.
Yeah, but the thing is, I never liked Heath Ledger from the beginning.
Me neither.
Yeah. So I mean, I think it was the Patriot. That whole, him being in that, I think it took away from that. I mean, not that the Patriot was that great, but it was just like I kind of like those historic movies like that. From whether it was Braveheart, which I really liked. I mean, the Patriot. The Patriot story, I think, as well, was written by the same person. I can't remember his name well, but it was, yeah, he something for me with him. He was just wrong. I never felt it. My wife loved him, but it was just like, yeah. I mean, granted, she's 10 years younger than me, but it still just was just off. But yeah, and I understand why people ended up really liking him as Joker. I mean, I think he did a great job. It was just a personal thing. I mean,
How about a magic trick?
yeah, once you hold a grudge against somebody, it's hard to let go. So,
Magic is gone. Oh man,
um,
no, I'm sorry. The Dark Knight is my favorite movie.
yeah,
Favorite movie, and it's for
my,
Heath Ledger.
my
I love that movie.
my favorite movie is Fifth Element.
Oh my god! Right?
I will watch that
And
as often as you'll play it.
and you know what? That is that right there. Not only did was that movie like every single Gary Oldman, by the way,
Exactly.
that that
Yes.
that every single person from a business standpoint, like they everybody perfectly fit in all of those roles.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
In the only person or the timing of the movie was perfect too because it was right in between Bruce Willis, who is actually trying, and Bruce Willis, who doesn't give a shit. Right in between there, that was when that movie was filmed, and he was actually trying, but we also got that great performance from him
Yeah.
because he was halfway phoning it in. But
Well, yeah, he was playing a
because
character who was not supposed to be giving a shit. He
yeah,
was trying.
exactly. It was perfect. It was
Yeah,
perfect.
it was yeah. I adore that movie. I mean, there's probably three movies. My top three movies are that Fifth Element, Jaws, and Blazing Saddles. I mean, those are I would watch. You could put those three movies in, and I'll just watch them all
If
day.
if you were to put out Blazing Saddles now in the theater, it would be 15 minutes long. It would be the credits, and you'd have to edit half of that.
Well, because who wrote that was Richard Pryor.
Yeah,
So yeah, and I mean the studio wouldn't let them have Richard Pryor playing the sheriff's role. So that's when they brought in Cleavon Little, who was brilliant. And it's probably the only movie where I like. Oh God. Oh fuck.
Gene Wilder.
Gene Wilder. Yeah, I just never. And it's mostly because of his voice. And I think in this one, his voice wasn't all that whiny voice that he's always had. He wasn't that way in Blazing Saddles, so his voice wasn't grating on me. And so that movie was brilliant. I think because of Mel Brooks, creating the movie and writing it with, I think that's why. I think it could still be done today. I mean, like they just did The Producers, which was the springtime for Hitler and all that stuff. So I think they could. I think they could still do it today. It would be different for sure, just because of what's going on, and probably a bit more edgy. It would just be updated with what's going on now. But you know,
In a world with a black sheriff.
yeah, I think that that story that goes on there still holds up. I mean, if you watch it with even with today's eyes, you know, where they're bringing in, you know, they're bringing in guys to kill the sheriff, the KKK, you know, all these, you know, all these people that, like, you know, what's happening today. That, you know, they're bringing in the Proud Boys or whatever it happens to be. You know,
We don't need no stinking badges.
right. Yeah. So there's a lot of stuff that, you know, that really, I mean, if you look at it, even look at it with today's eyes, it still holds. I mean, just like Rage Against the Machine music holds up still 30 years later. You know.
Oh my goodness. Could you believe the Twitter outrage on there of all these people saying, "Oh, well, I'm totally going to stop listening to Rage Against the Machine. I've been a fan for 15 years, 20 years, and now I'm completely boycotting." And I'm reading it and I'm like, "What did you think they were raging against?" Like,
I mean, yeah.
is it?
Study
Did
it.
you think that the title of it was about a 30-year-old guy getting mad at his stereo because he couldn't get the input right?
Yeah, that
God,
yeah. I'm like, have you not listened to the lyrics? They repeat their lyrics a lot. Those who work, some of those who work forces are the same that burn crosses. That gets repeated like 5, 6 times in the verse. I mean, it's not like they're hiding anything.
no,
So, and that was in 1990.
but then
So,
but then you got other bands like System of the Down,
oh yes.
System of the Down,
Now,
and
now, granted, a lot of theirs comes from, God, they are, God, kind of Middle East, and if I could remember it, because there was a whole genocide with,
yeah,
and yeah, so yeah, they're the same way. So
yeah. But I feel like I mean, I'm reminded of one of
Armenian.
their interviews from Chop Suey,
Hmm.
right after Chop Suey, and they're like, they're talking about the lyrics, and they're like,
Hmm.
"Are you a religious band?" And they kind of dance around the question. They're like, "Well, I think that everybody at some level is religious," and I'm like, I like the music, but I mean, you
I think
guys
it.
are not you say you stand for something, but yet you're not standing for something.
Well, their stand is, I mean, has really always been for, you know, what's gone on with the Armenian folks,
Hmm.
and how that's so it's less religious, more culture. So I think, you know, that Chop Suey was about, the suicide bombers. You
Yeah,
know, so talking about that, and then it's people just going on with their everyday life.
yeah,
You know, and you know the bombers, you know, say, "Why have you forsaken me?" You know, I'm doing this.
and
You
that
know,
and that's the thing. They people were misinterpreting some of their lyrics,
mhm,
and they weren't correcting them on it. At least not at first. But then they come out with that the one of their most, and when I say most recent, I mean like 15 years ago, but the Hypnotize album, where they do the song about Tiananmen Square, and I'm like, this is what
yeah,
you guys needed to do at the beginning. You're really standing up and saying something, and that's what I appreciated about Rage Against the Machine from the very beginning. They stood for something from the
yeah,
very beginning of the show,
yeah. Well, I mean, even with
or not
BYOB,
show.
yeah,
You,
I get,
they're
yeah,
the first album, their first
yeah.
album.
Yeah, but even with System of a Down with like BYOB, which is it's more about which is it shows again it shows both sides where, you know, all of this shit is going on, and I'll at the party, you know, and so it's kind of like you folks are over here not paying attention to anything while all of this shit is going on. That's,
Right.
you know, that's kind of, you know, been their message is like, look at the fucking world. You know, it's yeah, a lot of that, and I think it's similar to what I mean. you got to look at um, where the Tom Morello and Zach and the rest of the guys in Rage Against the Machine, where they grew up and how their culture. So yeah, two different cultures looking at their strife in different ways. So I mean, I think they're both brilliant. I mean, whereas the guys in System of a Down, they're very much instrumental.
Hmm.
Looking at the music, and because like Serge Tarkanian, he's got like five octaves he can hit. So there's a lot of looking at the music, the technicality of the music, along with what they're doing. Whereas Rage Against the Machine is just in your fucking face. They're
Right.
coming out guns blazing, and they're not. I mean, granted, Tom Morello is a fantastic guitar player. I mean, my background is in music. I've played in a lot of bands, and following
I couldn't
guitar
tell
players.
from your office there.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, masterful. So what they and what they do is they're trying to get that story across. This is what's happening in America right now, and you need to be fucking paying. Open your goddamn eyes, and if you don't, I will open them for you. That's kind of where they're at. Whereas
Right.
System of a Down it's a story. That's kind of that's their background, that's their culture. I'm going to tell you a story, and this is how you're going to see it. So it's same but different, but same.
Oh
But
man.
yeah,
Um.
and if you want to listen, which also kind of music wise, Letterkenny has put on some great music that tells a lot of stories. And they, if you have
By the
Spotify,
way,
go on
by the way,
Spotify.
I love the Letterkenny montages. I love
Mm-hmm.
their music choice. It's in every time that they do that, every time that they do a montage, I'm like, yeah, it's a guy show.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there's one time that they chose to do a montage and they really shouldn't. And this was a question that I actually had written down as far as a plot arc or at
Mm,
least a rework that I that 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 you would choose. For me, the episode where they have the actual finals and everybody is mic'd out, everybody's
mm.
helmets is mic'd out, and
Yeah.
they do that episode as a montage.
Yeah.
And that was one of the biggest letdowns because I was expecting an entire episode of chirping. That's what I was wanting.
Well, they did
And
a lot. They did a lot of chirping up front, and
up
then
front, yeah,
but then when they got to Shorzy at the end, Shorzy did a brilliant thing by standing up for his team. He goes, "I know I'm going to be taken out, but I know my other guys can do the work," and he fucking takes out Jean Jacques Frankie Jacques Jean.
Jean 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 Jean.
Yeah, Jean Jacques Francois Jacques Jean. Uh,
Yes.
yeah, and so yeah, he takes him out, and then from there, it's just that's what it is. They're catching up, so it's speed montage for them to catch up, and then take the trophy, which the top falls off of, which is I find hilarious every time. So
It's yeah.
so yeah, I don't because the first two periods are them fighting and losing,
Yeah.
and then they get back after Shorzy takes out JJ Frankie JJ, then then it goes to montage to finish it off. I think
Yeah.
some of that may have been played for time as well, but
That's what I think. That's what I
because
really think.
they tried to keep the episodes without commercials to be about 23 minutes, and some are less, but yeah, I think that's probably what they were doing. They probably knew how much time they had. They write it all out, at, probably 30 minutes worth, and then okay, what are we going to trim? What do we need to keep
In
versus what can we lose?
we were talking a little while ago about the plot, and
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's what they really use as their plot device when they want to drive the plot, and
Mm-hmm.
they're like, we need to communicate this,
Yeah,
but we don't want to slow down our momentum. In fact, we want to speed it up, and I
yeah,
feel like they use that a lot. Is they'll throw it in as a montage
Well, yeah,
because they're telling the story visually, but they've got the epic,
yeah,
this, that, and the other.
yeah. I mean, because you can even look at like the God, now I'm trying to remember what the wedding episode was called, but we don't fight at weddings. Where at the end, and they're kicking off the dance, and they're having the fight with the Sidians, and and they're playing Peaches, which teaches the Peaches the suck in on my titties like you want, and there's so it's kind of a double story there about fuck the pain away. I'm causing pain here with the fight, but we're Dax and Ron getting married, and we're gonna have a fucking good night. So it's kind of it's a double story there with what's going on and how they tell the music. So I really
Right.
like that. That was a great montage.
That was a great montage. Um, hmm. I think I've ran out of topics.
One thing I will say, if you want, so a couple of things. Uh, Third, if you're ever wanting to get somebody interested, what I've heard, I mean, for me, it was season one right off the bat. But if you think somebody's going to be a little timid about it, start them with season three because
Okay.
that's where because you notice, like as you said, with season one and two, it's telling this story that really doesn't all fit. I think a lot of that is due to they're bringing over leftover story from their web
From the
series.
web series, yeah.
Yeah, so they're really finding their footing in season three. So start off with that. I think also season seven, which a lot of people don't like. I think that's kind of where they became a Crave original, and they're bringing the U.S. on. I think what they did with that, if you notice that season, they did a lot of stuff that they did at the very beginning. They're telling the same stuff over again. So I think that they're making that their introduction to the U.S. viewers episode. So if you look at it that way, it's not so bad. They're just trying to bring people up to speed. So that's so it's not such a bad episode. It's not definitely not. I mean, it's a season. It's definitely not my favorite season. I know it's not for a lot of folks. But yeah, season eight. I will tell you, season eight is the favorite of Kiso. That's his favorite season, and a lot of people. So season seven. I think the Marie Fred story was brilliant. I loved her. I really, and it really bummed me out. I was because at the end that season finale, I didn't want I kept during after the season ended. I'm like, no, that can't have happened. Something was going on. I wanted any other thing to happen because I really liked Marie Fred and Wayne together. I thought they were perfect. But yeah, but I do really like Rosie. So I, it's a lot of relationship stories in this show. So starting from the very beginning. Um, so many great things to look at. I mean, you can look at the cleverness of it because there's a lot of clever dialogue, a lot of
Oh,
very smart.
yeah.
I mean, there's a bunch of very smart stuff happening in a dumb, quote unquote, dumb show. I think they're
I
very
mean,
very
just look
smart.
at the success of Futurama. You
Yeah.
have you have arguably a almost retarded show, but then you have at one point they cumulatively had more education on their writing staff than any other show on the air.
Hmm.
It was more college hours in their writing staff than any other show. I forget which season it was. I want to say it was either 4 or 5,
Hmm.
but just they the Futurama is so smart on so many levels, and Letterkenny is a lot very similar in a lot of ways. That it's saying so many things in such a condensed amount of space that
Hmm.
it's so clever and
Yeah.
so well crafted.
Agree. Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people will compare. I didn't watch. I didn't watch a lot of Futurama. I did watch more King of the Hill, but not a
Oh, that
lot. But
Futurama is my favorite show.
yeah, I
That
mean,
is that is that is the show that I fall asleep to.
mine would be Letterkenny, but I mean, aside from that, would be The Expanse. Uh, that is a brilliantly written show and set of books. But yeah, a lot of people have compared it to King of the Hill because that's kind of rural, but there's still some cleverness that's going on.
I feel like King of the Hill is really more suburban than rural, where
Well, suburban, yeah, it's suburban Texas, which is kind of where I grew up.
yeah,
But it's still that rural mindset because
right.
that's kind of what it is. I mean, so you could see Wayne and the Hicks compared with, Hank and Dale and the rest of the guys. I can't remember the names right now, but uh, there's cleverness and that close family tie feeling with the both of them. So I think that's kind of where I was getting to with that. But I can't really say, this reminds me exactly of XYZ show. It's like a little of this, a little of that. It's, I mean, with the diversity that it has and the I guess we'll say wokeness of it, it doesn't really remind me of anything in particular. There's like, I mean, you'll see homages within the show to certain things. Um, I mean, and I know that they want to tell the small town story. They're not looking for big money. I mean, because if you think about it, they're really only working with Canadian actors. If they were looking for money, they would have brought in, they would have tried to get Nathan Fillion in there as on something. Hell, one of the things that I had, just some headcanon type stuff was, bring Keanu Reeves in. He is Wayne's American cousin. His name is John Hick, and he's coming up to Canada to get Wayne to help him find his dog that's been stolen. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, just little things like that. But yeah, they could bring some really brilliant Canadian actors in there for the money. But they
You know who
didn't.
they could actually work in in an episode, and actually have him play himself.
Who's that?
Um. Shoot. Oh, Justin Bieber.
With McMurray. He's got full on Bieber eyes. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah,
I
Wayne would.
feel
I
like
could. I
that
could
would
just
make
see.
a fantastic episode.
I could just see Wayne looking at him all the time, like just sitting up straight and grimacing at him, kind of like he did with Kingsley and Shep and Kingsley.
Shep and King's.
Those are dogs' names. What's funny about that? Kingsley is K. Trevor Wilson's grandfather.
Really?
Yeah.
Hmm.
So that's
Oh
a
man.
little piece of trivia for you
We are gluttons for trivia on this show.
there.
Really are.
Yeah,
Really are.
actually, I've been one of the things I've been considering is doing a Letterkenny trivia during the off season. So
Mm.
there's lots of things I'm thinking about to fill up time until season 9. So I definitely want to get some more interviews. I mean, I doubt I'll be able to get Kanitio Horns because she's having a baby in November, and I don't know if I could ever get Melanie Scafrano because she's doing, her other show, Winona Earp. So she's got lots of things. But I'd love to get Evan Stern. I absolutely adore him. He's my favorite skid. Probably one of my favorite characters in the show. I mean, so yeah, the way he is with the skids, and around everybody else is brilliant. I mean, there's so many good actors in that show that you've never heard of before, and they deserve a lot more screen time on lots of other things. So yeah, Kiso has done a brilliant job of casting that show.
And that's another. Then in that is another example of pick the right person to play the right thing.
Hmm.
Not don't just try to make a business decision about it.
Yeah,
I mean, not to say that that's not always a good idea, because sometimes you can make that business decision, and then you don't get an actor that just phones it in, but
Right.
actually
Like,
delivers on every J.K. Simmons, everything that he's been in, even though he's a well-known actor now, everything that he's in, he brings his A game every single time. We were
yeah,
talking about
he's one of those actors that's, oh, that guy, you know.
yeah, and you're
So I
like,
mean,
"Oh."
yeah.
But then you got, well, I mean, we were already talking about Gary Oldman, who
Mhm.
always shows up. And then of course you've got Willem Dafoe, who, you know, just like John Malkovich, um, they always show up, but they only play one person.
Yeah,
They only want to play really one character or a variation of that character.
yeah.
Um,
Malkovich was even great in Space Force. If you get a chance to watch
I
that,
haven't watched that yet.
it's really good. It's
That's one of
really good.
those ones. Me and my wife are watching Peaky Blinders right now.
Mm,
So I think that's the next one that I'm going to suggest.
yeah, that was a good one.
Pe- have you watched Peaky Blinders?
I have not. I'd have kind of offshoot of that a little bit. Is that I watched was oh god, Penny Dreadful. Um, kind of that same edge,
Mm-hmm.
but different story. It's more supernaturally than
Peaky Blinders is a very very well scripted show. Um, there's certain shows I'll watch and I'll be like, I can't watch this. This is just too poorly scripted. Like, what's a great example? Oh, Last Man Standing. Cannot watch that show.
what is that? Last Man Standing.
That's the one with oh Tim Allen.
Oh, fuck, I hate to know.
I liked him as Buzz Lightyear.
Yeah,
But I just,
he
I'm
always plays the dumb dad. The stuck in my who I am, dumb dad. That's
yeah,
that. He's that trope every time. And yeah, that's I'm done with that.
yeah,
I
character that can only play one character, and that's himself.
yeah. Yeah, so yeah, Doom Patrol. If you haven't watched, if you haven't started that, if
I
you,
have not, and I hear. Oh,
it's good.
isn't Brandon Fraser in that?
Yes, he
Yeah,
plays Robot Man, Cliff Steele.
I hear he actually is like really bringing his aim game on that.
Oh yeah, he's great. He's great in it. I mean, everybody who's in that show is really good. I mean, there's some people that I hadn't seen. The gal who, if you watched Orange Is the New Black, there was the two Latina girls that were always doing their makeup tutorials.
No,
I don't know if you ever watched. Oh yeah, she plays one of the greatest characters called Jane, who is a she's got she plays a character with multiple personalities, and each personality has their own superpower. And it's just really weird. But yeah, and each time she changes to another character, her even though she looks the same, it's her every time. But she'll just, I mean, it'll shimmer, and she'll have like a tattoo on her chest, and she's one of her other personalities. Or it'll shimmer again, and she's got these little pigtails playing baby doll. So it's just, and it'll just change like that. But she switches from personality to personality perfectly. I mean, yeah, there's so many great characters in that. So yeah, good show. Highly recommended.
I'll have to check that one out.
It's on HBO Max.
Um,
We probably need to sew things up.
yeah.
Put a
Well,
button on it.
what I was gonna say was HBO Max had me interested, and then they didn't do the Friends event, and that's kind of put off. So,
Huh. I didn't know there was
um,
a Friends event.
oh yeah, that was like the big
I mean,
selling point of HBO Max. They
Friends is on
pulled
there.
they pulled Friends off of Netflix um to have it on HBO Max, and one of their big launching events of HBO Max was they were going to have a new episode, a reunion episode of Friends live. And it was
Huh.
going to be everybody, and they were going to have Supposedly the same character or the same actress that played Emma in the original show as Emma. It was going to be like a reunion, like her 18th birthday or whatever.
Huh.
But yeah, they ended up not doing it. So I was like, you know what? That's the only thing that I really wanted to see on HBO Max right now, because I mean they got the Elmo show that I was like, oh, okay, well that's kind of interesting, but
yeah,
not.
they've got a new Adventure Time series. If you ever watched Adventure Time,
I watched
um,
a couple episodes. I wasn't really like huge into it.
I got into it because my kids were into it, and I love John DiMaggio.
I
Uh,
tried to get. Oh, right.
I met him after, because originally from Adventure Time was where I knew him from. I took my kids. My kids were both into Adventure Time. Went to Emerald City Comic Con, and he was there doing autographs. And my son was dressed up like oh god, Finn from Adventure Time, and he came and
Finn the human.
yes, and he was probably 10 at the time. Uh, and he gets up to Jake, and he gets really quiet, and Jake stands up. I mean, John stands up and does in his Jake voice. He goes, "Hi, what's your name?" He actually stands up, and John is a big guy, uh, and he goes, "What's your name? What do you?" And are you like Adventure Time? And he's like, "Yeah." And you're only supposed to bring up one thing for somebody to sign. And Evan was holding, he had a calendar and a CD, a DVD, and some books. And he opened the calendar, and everything that Jake, the dog, was on, he signed. He goes, "Yeah, this is my girlfriend." So he was such a nice guy. I love him forever.
I've heard that he's one of those voice actors that really is a genuinely good person.
Yeah.
The other guy that I've heard that from too is the guy that played Optimus Prime. Um, my friend from my hometown, he's actually met him. He met him in a bar randomly, and
Huh.
he was he just got to talking to him, um, and he was like, "Hey, do you want me to say the thing?" And he goes, "What do you mean the thing?" And he's like, "Oh, the thing. You want me to say the thing?" And he goes, "Yeah, say the thing." And he goes, "Autobots transform and roll out." In his Optimus Prime voice and everything. I was like, that's cool. Um,
Yeah, I'm trying to see who did that voice, but I'm not sure.
I always forget. I always forget. I mean,
Yeah,
he's done a lot of stuff, but like that's like his most notable thing.
yeah. Peter Cullen.
It sounds right.
Okay. Yeah, one of the other ones who's really nice is Tom Kenny, uh, who has been doing voice acting forever, and it was in SpongeBob. One of our friends who goes to San Diego Comic Con every year, and until this year, and actually has become friends with lots of the geeky folks. Whether it be Will Wheaton, Felicia Day, those folks, who I also adore. But she became very good friends with Tom Kenny, and then got to become friends with John DiMaggio as well. So yeah, lots of good geeky folk that aren't just there for
If there
the.
was if there was any voice actors that I could meet in real life, apart from Mark Hamill, because of course he'd want to meet Mark Hamill. It fantastic voice actor, and but no, Robert Paulson. I would love to meet Robert Paulson.
Okay, aside from uh, Fight Club, I'm not sure. That's the only when I hear his name was Robert Paulson.
Rob, no,
So,
no, he was the voice of Michelangelo,
oh,
or
okay,
no, I'm sorry, Raphael in the original um 1990s Ninja Turtles, and then he was also the voice of Donatello in the 2012 Ninja Turtles.
okay.
Yeah,
When I type in Robert Paulson on here,
his name is Robert Paulson.
the first thing that comes up is Fight Club. Uh,
Yeah,
but there is another one. American voice actor. I'll have to see what else he's been in.
He's been in a lot. He's fantastic. He was Pinky,
I got Pinky and the Brain,
and
Animaniacs,
he was
Jimmy
Yakko.
Neutron, uh, Goofy movie, a lot of Little Mermaid stuff,
Yeah,
Land Before Time.
he's been in so much, and he's a very chameleonic voice actor. It was funny too. The other day, I was on I forget what I was on, some social media outlet, and it was which is your favorite Ninja Turtle, and I responded with whatever Robert Paulson is playing.
Yeah. Oh, Billy West was also really nice. I got to
Oh
meet
yeah,
him.
I've heard that too.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Well, my wife is texting me about Din Din. So
Yeah, I'm surprised mine is. Well, I brought her lunch home right before we started this, and I'm the one that's starving. So,
yeah,
because I was rushing, I didn't get to get me anything.
they're heading back from my wife and daughter are heading back from aerobics. Actually, refit. They It's this the thing that they do at church. There's a bunch of churches that are involved in it, and they do like it's kind of like aerobics, but they do it with the lights off, and they got the disco lights going and everything, and it's real high energy. And
You know, with
yeah,
the way they portray West Virginia in the movies, aerobics is the last thing you think of. So
right.
it's
No,
all hillbillies out shooting things, and that's
but
or
that's one of the things that I really like about Letterkenny.
yeah,
Is I mean, because I grew up north. I grew up in Maine,
yeah.
and people think of Canada and they're like, oh yeah, there's just a bunch of snow.
Oh
It's just
no,
there's not
yeah,
much, and it's like it's portraying an actual point
yeah.
it's trying to get across. In West Virginia is exactly the same way, where it's like I would like something that some kind of media piece that would really show West Virginia for what it is. Like for instance, North Central West Virginia. That's where I am.
Mm,
Um, North Central West Virginia is so different from the other 75% of the state.
yeah.
And even I went to high school in one of those like rural communities, Pendleton County. Um, it's if you're traveling east, it's the last major town you hit.
Mm,
Um, but West Virginia has got such a deep history that really the only recent media piece that has kind of shown West Virginia for what it really is, what it has to offer, is the Fallout 76 game, and it unfortunately
the one Fallout game I've never owned and probably never will.
we're gonna have an episode on that here very soon, and that's one of those ones where I'm gonna be totally honest. It has got some strengths and some weaknesses to it.
I
And
like this. I like the stories. I love those stories, and the
this is the
online
perfect
part
time.
just bugged me.
If you were to pick it up today, this
Mm,
would be a perfect time to do that, because so for me, I loved being able to play it when there was nothing. And I liked the story as it was because there was none. You were making the story. You were the lone survivor. You were one of the lone survivors rebuilding America, and it
yeah.
really felt like that. But now they actually have an NPCs driven story. Um, you can still revisit a lot of those old stories. That's still part of the narrative. But yeah, no, the if you had a chance to play Fallout 76, I would say do it. Cuz it's not only is the story actually very good, but um the scenery and everything is just so well crafted. And as a guy from West Virginia,
Mm.
they did a really damn good job. There is actually some towns that they have recreated that is like almost 1-to-1.
Wow.
It's crazy how much they've done. In one of them, one of the towns, town of Helvetia,
Mm-hmm.
it's a Swiss town. It's got a lot of Swiss roots. Um, it is one of those towns that was preserved during the apocalypse, and because it was far away from everything,
Yeah.
and it um the other than some of the names that were changed, the cheese house, the diner, the honey house where the bed and breakfast is in, the church up the hill, the general store that's also the post office, because it is, um and then the museum, they're all where they're supposed to be.
Nice.
It's just that it's unfortunate that they did this so poorly on the back end. The from an IT standpoint, because I'm in IT,
Yeah.
they decided to throw everything on Amazon Web Services, so it's all running on the cloud.
Yeah.
And you know what else is all running on the cloud on AWS's services?
What's that?
Netflix.
Oh.
And we all know how well that runs.
Yeah.
Fantastic. There's almost no service interruptions. So what it's telling me is that Bethesda did not allocate the resources correctly on AWS. It's their failing, which is unfortunate because they did their diligence on the other side.
Yeah. They're well. See, that's the thing. They're not meant. They were never meant for online. Because all from Fallout 1 to Fallout 4, and everything in between, it was story. I even go back and play the original Fallout 1. I have it on my computer here, where I'll just go
I
in
was
and
just
play.
I made myself a gamepad
Nice.
out of an old cell phone, and I was playing 2 on this the other day.
Yeah, I love that one. Brotherhood of Steel, New Vegas. I mean, all there's so many good. Yeah, they were killing it. And when I heard that, because I don't like online stuff, I just want to do my own thing. don't bother me with all this, any online crap. I just want to do my own thing. If you got a patch, yeah, send me a patch. That's about as online as I want to get. If I want to get a DLC, maybe.
Now, I do sometimes like a co-op
Mhm.
online, like for instance, Alex. So we were just talking to Alex.
Mhm.
We have done a few co-op things. Like for instance, we were doing Switch co-op, uh, playing I don't know if you remember River City Ransom for a Nintendo.
No, I
It,
never had a Nintendo.
it was a beat 'em up game, and it was a
Oh
really
yeah,
good beat 'em up game. But we were playing that as if he was sitting next to me on the couch, but he was up at his house. And that I don't mind, the co-op aspect. But
yeah.
as far as like first person shooters and all that group stuff, get out.
The last time I was into that was Half Life. So that's how far back I go with that. And
Right.
I don't like first person stuff. I mean, I've always liked Fallout for that aspect, for the VATS, because I could go in. I'm not a joystick guy. I like stories. I like figuring things out. Going around and just
Yeah, VATS is pretty much useless in 76.
yeah. I can't. No,
It's
I
an
can't. I can't do
it's
any of
pretty
that
much
stuff.
an auto aim thing.
Hmm.
Is what VATS is in
Right.
76.
Yeah. I
Um
mean, but right now I'm playing. I just bought Last of Us 2 because I love Last of Us 1. Started
oh,
playing
I
that,
just
and
started playing Last of Us 1.
yeah,
I got that PlayStation 4 bundle that they had for over Christmas.
Yeah.
which was Last of Us, and then God of War, and then Horizon Zero Dawn. I've played so much on my PlayStation 4. In all single player games, except for one that I just finished, which is Death Stranding.
Yeah, I've
Which
started. I started playing that, and I've probably, I don't know. I'm not that far through it. I've started building. Just started building ramps.
fantastic,
The bridge.
fantastic game. It is one of those ones that when it starts gripping you, truthfully, the game doesn't hit 60 because it goes from 0 to 60 pretty slowly. But when it hits 60 is when you cross the lake, and you'll know when you get there. But when you cross the lake, or actually when you're about to cross the lake, that's when you first have your first like battle against one of the BTs,
Mm.
and the game just goes crazy after that, and it's just so gripping.
I think one of my favorite things that I've seen on YouTube, that somebody just created zip lines everywhere. So he's just zip lining. I mean, he's like zip lined across the map
So,
basically.
knowing game development as well as I do,
Mm,
um, I figured that the end of the game, I was going to have to travel all the way back to the beginning
yeah.
on foot. So, as I was going from point A to point B, I was building zip lines, not intending to use them,
Yeah.
but intending to, or at least not during while I was playing the game, but use them at the end of the game when I needed to get to the other side.
Yeah.
And that's totally what I got to do. I ziplined all the way across the freaking map.
I mean, that's really what got me into buying the game. I was like, yeah, that looks fun. All I want to do is zip line.
Um,
just set that up for me.
one of the things in the last episode that we just did was Death Stranding.
Yeah.
I suggest listening to that episode or watching the YouTube of that one, because we could really go over everything that's really great about that game.
Yeah, I've enjoyed it so far. I've since I kind of quit doing most of anything game wise, because at the end of April until uh, beginning of June, I was having massive migraines that would end me up in the ER. So I mean, and I just couldn't do anything. I was useless.
I
I'm
noticed
just
that
now.
your glasses are not gamma light filter.
Yeah, I don't know I don't know what that is.
Look into that.
Yeah, I
It's
just
it,
got these because one of the meds that they put me on fucked up my eyes completely.
I
Uh,
was having really bad headaches um here about 2 years ago, and then and this was before I was wearing glasses. I started wearing gamma light filter glasses. It's just got like a little bit of a yellowish tint, but it filters out the low blue light from your glasses. Now, what they can do now is they can add it to prescriptions. Me and Alex both work in IT, and so we're staring at the computer screen all day.
that's what I do. I work from home and I stare at those all day.
No, look into gamma light glasses, or getting a gamma light filter on your prescription. I mean, you could just like get a pair of gamma light glasses, um, from Amazon for like $10, to try it out, see if it helps.
Yeah,
But my God, when I started using those things, I was like, holy crap, this is what's been going on. Because I actually, when I was 18 and 25, I actually had brain surgery. So
wow.
I was just assuming that my headaches, sometimes my headaches are residual from that.
Yeah,
Well, this
makes
was
sense.
constantly happening,
Yeah,
every day 2 years ago. And I was like, what is going on? Because I had just had a brain scan, so I knew that wasn't it. I knew things didn't come back.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Each time I went in the ER, they gave me an MRI, and everything was clear.
yeah, no, so I don't know if you were, working on computers when they had the old CRTs.
Oh yeah,
Um, well, the old
I used to build computers back in the day.
so the old CRTs, they had a problem with eye strain because of how the the laser the laser
Laser.
projected out the light. So there
Hmm.
was eye strain, and there was a lot of people that needed to start using glasses that didn't before because of a focal problem.
Hmm.
What it is now is LCDs. LCDs emit a low end blue light. If you go onto your phone or go into your Windows settings,
Hmm.
there's a nighttime mode that reduces the gamma light that is emitted from that monitor. However, it tints it. It changes it to a yellowish tint. If you actually have like a gamma light glasses, have you ever seen like professional gamers? I don't know if you've seen any like professional gaming like streaming or anything like that.
I'm not. I don't. Yeah, I'm not much of a twitcher. So
Some of those guys that don't need glasses, they wear gaming glasses, high-end gaming glasses, and those gaming glasses are specifically designed to filter out the gamma light. That's actually where they kind of got started.
hmm,
Was and now they're adding it to all kinds of stuff,
yeah,
including you can add it to your prescription glasses, and I have not had a problem since, and
hmm,
Alex hasn't had a problem since either. um
yeah. I'll definitely try that.
yeah,
Because yeah, I just actually just went online and bought some sunglasses because I didn't have any. These are brand new. I mean, as of June, I got my prescription set up mid June after I started having eye problems. My migraines went away. I was having eye problems. So yeah. So but I got these and I got some these. These are my if when I'm sitting in front of this, you know, and because what we're doing now, like I have a big Samsung TV,
yeah.
which is where my display is, and then I have my computer that runs everything that that it's connected to. So I don't really I need distance. That these are progressive lenses, so I need more distance for you than I do up close because you're 4 feet away.
um yeah, if you look at these, like, you see that bluish tint that's on it,
Yeah,
that's filtering out that blue light. Like, this is a completely white light, but on this reflection, it's coming back blue.
hmm,
That's that gamma light filter that it's filtering out.
gotcha. I will definitely check that out.
Yeah. um
Well, we've talked about Letterkenny. We've talked about Fifth Element, Gary Oldman.
we've talked
I
we've
think we've
talked
talked
about
about
music.
everything.
We've talked about we've talked about systemic racism.
Yeah,
we've we've talked about glasses,
yeah.
and
There's lots of subjects, lots of areas of subjects that we've touched.
wow, we really hit everything tonight, didn't we?
We're done. We're done podcasting. There's no more reason for podcasting ever. We've talked about everything.
Yeah, well, if you've listened to my show, I always find new things to BS about.
Oh yeah, I could BS forever. Yeah, I have another podcast called Podscure where we talk to other podcasters. Generally, sometimes we don't have anybody else to talk to, and we just talk ourselves about usually like mental health and what's going on with our me and my buddy Don. We're 50. We're both 50 in our 50s, and we're talking about what's breaking down on us now. So yeah, yeah. There's so many things to talk about.
Yeah.
So what's breaking down today? That's probably what we should call it.
Oh man.
All right. Well, Luke, it's been a pleasure talking to you, and with Alex as well. So
Yeah. Yeah, and I will well, you told him earlier, so
I did.
yeah. Even but yeah, Dean, it's been a pleasure having you on tonight. And I'm not going to say that I was planning on going this long. However, I
happens.
haven't been bored talking to you, so
Right.
that's a plus as well.
Yeah, I'm on a lot of podcast groups on Facebook, and people will often ask, how long should an episode be? And my answer is as long as it needs to be. I mean, there is no right answer to that. I mean, if sometimes I have episodes that go an hour, sometimes they go two. You
Yeah.
know?
Now, our usual target. So what I'll usually do is I'll do about a half hour
Mm,
for the YouTube stream.
yeah,
And then I'll cut that off, and then the audio portion is usually an hour, but
yeah,
it goes as long as we're done until
yeah.
we're done. So
I mean, yeah, I could totally sit here and just bullshit about anything. So,
that's what
one
makes us geeks.
yeah, well, I mean, I'm horrible outside. I don't. I mean, when all this pandemic, see here, we're going to go on another tangent. I work from home, and I'm an introvert. I don't go out. So when all this stuff about stay home, I had no issue. It was like nothing was different except my wife's home all the time. So that was the only thing that was different for me. I'm like, I'm fine. I don't need to go out. And my big problem now, though, is because I'm home as much as I am. When I go out, I'll 9 times out of 10, I'll step out without my mask. I'm like, oh fuck, and I have to go back and where's my mask? So yeah, that's the only problem I have.
Yeah, I have a couple that are around the house or in the different cars and stuff, and my desk at work. If I ever do go into work, I've gone into work once in the last 4 months.
Yeah,
It
I can't remember the last time I actually went into an office. I've
yeah.
worked at home for 15 years now, so that's
I've I've never wanted to work from home, and now that I am working from home, I'm like, gosh, it's really nice that when I want to take a break for a few minutes, I just fire up the PlayStation or something, you know?
yeah, yeah. My business casual and my business as usual is the same. So I've got I can choose to wear as many pants as I don't want. So, so that's the good part about that, and the commute is nice.
I
So,
put it out at work the other day, because you can put your status and put a status like, like line or whatever, and I said teleworking is working in jammy pants.
and you just put on there, am I wearing pants or not? You get your guess.
Yeah.
Uh,
All right. Well, Dean, I think we've beat this dead horse.
we have
And
we'll beat another dead horse another day.
yes, another day. And Dean, if you ever need any geek assistance, shoot me a message.
I shall.
And um, and if I ever need any more Letter Kenny um, stuff or random 50-year-old obscure knowledge, I'll
Yeah,
make
I've
sure to
got
message.
plenty of that. Yeah, and when season 9 comes out, we'll get you booked on an episode to co-host.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Excellent.
Yeah. Just give me a heads up because I don't always watch those episodes when they air.
Yeah, I mean, we usually book a season out for a little bit. I mean, this is the first time we've gotten all the way through it. So
mhm.
we'll have to see what we're going to do once season 9 actually drops, because we're going to have to probably watch that a few times. I mean, we always watch it at least probably 5 times before we do the episode. Um,
Right.
so we take all our notes and stuff.
All right. Well, for all of you audio listeners, this has been Random Geek Culture in West Virginia. I am your host, Luke Hersey. Alex already left, but he was my co-host. And then we've got Dean, and he was our guest tonight. We were talking about Letterkenny and a bunch of other random stuff that just came to our minds.
Many things, many things,
Many, many
and
things.
much more.
Much, much more. And as always, guys, you can go to the Linktree address that's on the actual podcast section. You can also send me a text message to my phone at 304-566-9777. You can hit me an email at randomwvgeek@gmail.com. And as always, guys, welcome to the end.